Hi, everyone. I'm Harley Carnes with Harley on the Headlines. Glad you're with us today. We got a lot of stuff today. I mean, it may be a Monday, but we're off and running. There's a celebration for peace in the Middle East. Big birthday for the Navy. We're at war with China on two fronts, cyberspace and trade. Things could get worse. And some protest nudity on the West Coast. Let's get to it, right? There's an awful lot of happiness in the Middle East today. We haven't seen this in a very, very long time, and obviously not in the last couple of years. There is celebration in Gaza and in Israel. The living Israeli hostages, 20 of them, have been released. They are back with their families. The dead hostages have not yet been returned. Most of the graves have to be found, the bodies dug up, and after so much time, there won't be much left. Still, it'll be closure for the families, welcome and very, very much needed. Palestinian prisoners are also being released in tranches. There are so many of them. Israel released nearly 2,000 prisoners in the West Bank and in Gaza. About 250 of them were doing time as murderers, deadly terror attacks on Israelis, some going back decades. 154 of them were sent to Egypt, where freedom is not guaranteed. They'll be sent to third countries for fates unknown. The rest are home again. It's a very big day. All of them, Israelis and Palestinians, are thanking President Trump for making it happen. Mr. Trump got a standing ovation at the Knesset. One of the things Israel did not want to see was thousands of Palestinians in the streets celebrating the return of terrorists. There was the threat of arrest if they did. So Palestinians, thousands of them, were in the streets celebrating the return of the men they call freedom fighters. No, they were not arrested. One of the things the developing trade war with China is teaching us is this: we can get along without an awful lot of the stuff we routinely buy from China. Comparing September to the same month last year, Chinese exports into the U.S. are down 27%. Chinese imports have fallen for 6 straight months. In August, they were down a third, 33%. American ships have long paid fees to use Chinese ports to pick up the cargo. China has announced plans to add new port fees because President Trump set out to equalize those fees at U.S. ports. China increased export controls on lithium batteries and rare earths, with the threat that those exports could be shut off entirely. Trump's response: a 100% tariff on Chinese goods and export controls on critical computer software. I'm not sure how much we really want software from China anyway, since so much of it has been found to contain code that spies on this country, part of a concerted and determined cyber war fought every day against U.S. military, business, and everyday infrastructures, including you and me. Trade war with China may be inevitable and difficult, but it just might be necessary. Here's Portland, Oregon at its demonstrating best: a bicycle ride to protest the presence of federal troops sent to take the streets away from the criminals and keep the peace. Many of the cyclists were naked. That's Portland. At least they were unarmed. Hats off to the U.S. Navy today. The Continental Congress established the Navy on October 13th, 1775, knowing that the most powerful navy in the world would be soon on its way. July 1776 was just around the corner. The wise men who created this country knew there would be trouble. They would need some boats to fight. Here are a few things you may not know about the American Navy. Back then, the plan was to build just 3 swift sailing vessels, as they called them, armed with 10 cannons each and 80 men. The Department of the Navy was established 22 years later in 1798. Today's Navy subs carry 50 times the destructive nuclear power of what Enola Gay dropped on Hiroshima. The father of the U.S. Navy was John Paul Jones. Most folks don't know he was from Scotland. He fled to the colonies to avoid trial for murder, and since he was a sailor, he became a naval commander. He very famously answered a demand from the British that he surrender during a battle with the English warship Serapis. I have not yet begun to fight, he said, and they did fight on, and the Americans won the battle. Women got the right to serve in the Navy March of 1917. They were called yeomanettes. Didn't love the term. The largest naval battle ever fought at any time was in World War II in the Philippines, the U.S. versus Japan. Nearly 300 U.S. ships did battle with 70 Japanese warships in 4 separate engagements spanning 100,000 square miles of ocean. When that huge battle, which involved nearly 200,000 men, was over, the Japanese Navy was done for the rest of the war. And one of the great naval stories from that war was a battle between the U.S. destroyer, USS O'Bannon, and a Japanese submarine. The O'Bannon encountered a Japanese sub on the surface. The Imperial sub never saw them coming, and they were so close they could see Japanese sailors asleep on the deck. Plus, they were too close to fight the destroyer's deck guns. The destroyer couldn't shoot at the sub, which is down on the surface. So the American crew grabbed what they could. Potatoes. They threw potatoes at them, and the Japanese thought they were some kind of newfangled grenades and scrambled to toss them overboard or throw them right back at the American sailors. This gave the captain of the O'Bannon time enough to move just far enough away from the sub so he could shoot at it and toss depth charges as soon as it submerged in a great big hurry. The submarine sank, and the Association of Potato Growers sent the Navy a very fancy plaque. That ought to do it today for Harley on the Headlines. I want to thank you for being there. Hope you'll be back tomorrow. No telling what we'll find if we do a little digging. So please hit the like, follow, and the subscribe buttons. I am Harley Carnes, and we'll see you soon. That's the plan anyway.